it was another thing that I think people needed to see was between Will Smith and Janet.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, Janet. I'm just a weird individual. Like, I'll watch shows or documentaries and I always dig deeper. So I always knew about Janet, like going at Will and Jada, and she's been doing that for a long time.
Yeah,
I've been
longer than
you know what I'm
Gucci.
saying. I've seen it as recently as last year. Videos that she made, like when I think when Jada one of the protests,
by the Oscars,
yeah, like she was any chance she got,
yeah, she was on his bumper for sure.
And I always knew she was mad. I was always on her side because I've heard this story before, and obviously, you know, when you're Will Smith, like on the surface, nobody cares about you know the other person's side. But I learned even more from looking at the documentary. It was worse than what I even thought that she, you know, that she went through. And then Will confirmed that she was dead on, absolutely right with everything that she said. And, you know, her career basically suffered based on things that he implemented. And she said something real powerful that I never thought about. And it took me back to the Monique situation, where she said, you know, when you put that word difficult on a black woman in this industry, that's the kiss of death.
That was so
and when she said, I was like, damn, like it took me immediately back to the Monique situation, where she's sitting there arguing with Steve Harvey, and he's like, oh, it's the money game. Da-da-da-da. She's like, okay, what about the integrity game? Like,
that's
so
factual.
Yeah, so like, what were your guys' I guess takeaways from, you know, viewing that? Let's start with you.
I mean, I feel like I didn't get the chance because when I was watching it, I had to get going, so I had to cut it short. But I got to watch most of it with them one-on-one.
Okay.
And I found it to be completely profound that this is their first time coming face to face after about 20-some years.
And then 30 years.
30 years, right, damn near. And it's like, on top of that, I felt like it was important to show not only our community but just the human experience of how deep miscommunications can go. Right. He was young. To hear about how he's 21, that boy just came up on
like that.
He just came up on fame, so he already has not only a heightened sense of self, which he earned because of what his status was at the time. However, he's still a 21-year-old boy. Man, so whatever the case may be, he still has a lot to learn. So he did not have the perception or the skill set to think about other people's predicament and think about what he was doing by acting in this way and acting entitled, or, you know, putting them on the back burner or limiting different things. Like, I definitely felt for what she said. I felt it to be very, you know, powerful and strong, even just her expressing how bad it affected her.
Right.
For me,
down to her kids.
For me, I never truly researched why she got replaced or what happened with that.
Well, it was always rumored. No one knew the exact reason. It was either you believed her or you believed
him.
Will.
Right.
It was
and for me, I never took the time to even look at either side. I just knew that this is what it was. There clearly was something behind the scenes because she's not here.
Right. They just replaced her and act like we weren't supposed to notice that.
Exactly. That, we gonna get to that another time because they really tried to pass off this bright ass woman. No disrespect, but a bright ass woman, as opposed to the complete opposite end of the spectrum that was previously there. Like, that's so ass backwards. But whatever the case may be, I feel like it was great that they had it. I'm happy they had it. I feel like it was much needed clarity, much needed closure. I feel like they both needed that. I feel like after having such a history that is not only enriching for their community but has impacted so many people in and out of their communities' lives,
decades later,
whole
generations
later, and it's like, it's still a hit to this day. The fact that they finally reconcile, I think, is really important, just to once again show the Black community we don't always have to hold grudges, because that's a thing in our community. Not letting shit go. Forgiveness is hard to come across when it comes to a lot of different situations for us, and it's hard to let go of certain things. I'm happy that they publicly reconciled, just to set an example of how we can carry ourselves when it comes to differences and beefs, arguments, tensions, relationships. Like, it doesn't have to be all bad. it shouldn't be that long, but that's their experience, that's their situation, that's what it is. And we're still learning in our community that our feelings are valid, that we can move like everybody else. We don't have to be in our own bubble of being suppressed and closed off to emotions and experiencing certain things. We're just like white people, we're just like every other race, to where we're entitled to having our feelings validated when we're grieving, when we're upset, when we're offended, and anything above, because that's often overlooked. It's always if we catch an attitude, if we just disagree with something, we're the angry black woman, angry black man. If we disagree with something, then we're the rebel. We can't even stand up for something that means something for us, whether it's a family member dead, without us being fucking anarchists damn near. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on now. I feel like it was very important. I valued it greatly. I definitely want to go back and rewatch the entire thing.
For sure. Yeah,
but it was even powerful just seeing them get emotional, needing to take a break. That's okay. Sometimes you need a moment to just gather yourself. Some things are triggers. It's okay to talk about triggers. That's how you get past them. Yeah. That's big on. I feel like it touched so subtly on various aspects of mental health that are so important and overlooked in our community.
Right. I mean, and the fact that, like, I'm sure it hurt even more. Like, her career just abruptly ended, and then this dude turns into one of the superstars of the planet. I'm sure that makes it even worse. Like, they always talk about karma coming back around. That's been swirled around that nigga.
And even for me, hearing her background like that, and I always go back to the scene where she fucked it up in that dance class and showed everybody else.
Classic.
And then to hear about her experiences with plays and stuff, it all clicked, came full circle. Like, that's why you the shit. You've been doing this, like, you does this. You've been in Cats, you've been doing this. You're acclaimed, like, you're doing your shit. So I can completely understand where she was coming from with even feeling disrespected, in the sense of, I like professionalism. I prefer a certain workspace. If we're gonna do a job, let's do a job. But also, let's not act like I'm just somebody who just auditioned for the first time and this is my first time having a career. I've been established in the industry, just not this particular one.
The way they replaced her was super disrespectful.
Fucking disrespectful.
And the respect that she gave him, like, you know, from my research of how rappers were viewed at that time, like when they were, you know, when the Tupacs and Ice Cubes were doing movies, it was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, y'all effing the game up. And the other, I don't know her exact name, but the other Aunt Viv, the light skinned one, she said when they actually asked her to do Aunt Viv in the beginning, and they said it was a show with a rapper, so she said she declined it. Yeah. She said no because of that.
Because most of the people on there were they're actors. It's not like nowadays it's like, oh, I'm an actor. It's like, no, I went to school for this.
No, yeah, they went to Juilliard. They did the whole thing.
Theater. I know this style of acting. I can do this style of acting. Right. It's like my repertoire is deep, and I've like spent time to sophisticate it. So it's like I'm coming here to do my job. And it's like, this is goofy.
And I felt her, like, you're not taking it serious. You're not being for real. When I've done whole ass theater, Cats is big, my nigga. Like, you was in Cats, my nigga? Like, I was hyped. Like, what?
Like, she's like, I'm a triple, like, I'm a legitimate triple. When that really meant, it's like, I can sing, I can act, I can dance. And it's like, I kill in every single category.
And never, ever once in my career accused of being a professional.
Right. Yeah. Ever. And you know she's professional.
You can still see.
You can tell, like, you can see even how she carried herself. Even throughout that, it's like you don't have a,
like, even when she tries to insult him, it's still like she's doing it in a very like lady, like professional manner of like she's not cussing and going all crazy, but you could tell like the energy.
How she speaks and stuff is eloquent, very well put together.
It's all there. Yeah. What I do want to say, what I like the most about it, because it's like you said, it's another example for us as a culture, which is a lot of times women can become victims to men's egos, like big time. And as men, we might not even see that happening and even realize that's what the effect that's happening. So for all, even though it took, 30 years to happen, it's good that we have that example to say, I didn't realize I was doing that.
Right.
And I didn't, maybe to some degree, but just to have like an extra level of like self-awareness to just, take assessment of what's going on and the people around you in the room. It's like, are you good? You good? You good? And just have that open communication.
Well, it's easy not to see it from that perspective when you're not the the person that's being marginalized.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I always say, like, it's still worse for black women than black men because we're still men. You know what I mean? Because you got that dynamic of male privilege.
And I was going to say that so, even in Hollywood, luckily they're talking about it. They're highlighting, you know, women not being paid as much in the industry, women not being cast as much, different things, different discrepancies that women are faced with as opposed to men and them getting more privileges. Yes, talked about more, but to hear people acknowledge that after 30 years, after 40 years, post being in the industry or whatever, they're just now coming to understand, either party, that there was that distinction, that there was that prejudice. Whether and for men especially now, it's like, all right, y'all got to go back and look like, oh shit, I was a part of the problem. Like, damn, had no clue. And I'm sure that's something too. He can't talk the split that he taught today, and you still haven't wrote that wrong yet. Right. And I think that was a big reason why he did that.
To me, like, you know, the whole thing with him and Jada aside, that was like the biggest like mark on Will Smith. Mm-hmm. It's like, whatever, like, you cool, you a positive guy, we love you, like, you're funny, like, you know, you do a lot of great things, but it's like, what is up with that situation? Right. Like, what happened there?
And you can't do no full, he's had other reunions, and he always left her out.
And it's like, y'all not, so it was like, we love OG Aunt Viv, so it's like, what happened?
And it was wild. I had no clue, and I'm sure thousands of other people didn't either, just that was their first time reconnecting and reuniting after so long. You would have never expected. Granted, you wouldn't expect otherwise, but you would just assume otherwise because you would just assume at least that it was a decent relationship, but you would never assume that y'all ain't interacted in God knows how long. Y'all had this static for this long without clarity for this long. Whole ass careers. This nigga Will Smith did over 10 movies and some more shit. Had sequels and everything.
But add a zero behind that.
And she and she's done. I mean, you know her own thing.
Before we move on to the next thing, I also gotta add that yes, Will Smith and OG Aunt Viv or Janet, but I don't want to not blame the white man in this situation because the white man is the reason why that dynamic was set up the way it was.
I think that's just the industry gatekeeper.
No, for sure. But I'm just talking about like whoever the TV execs were when she was coming to them with her grievances, instead of like creating peace and saying, you know, you're a valued member of the team or it was like
they made her the problem.
They care about their bottom line, and Will Smith was their bottom line at that time.
It's like, you not understand that? We will replace you like you're nothing.
Right, you are expendable.
We'll make a joke out of it, which they did.
They did.
They destroyed her life and made a joke out of it.
I was
and then like Will Smith is looking at it like, I gotta make this bread. Like I gotta be great. And he did. You know, obviously he's in a position now where it's like, you know, one, I probably have issues with this woman already. The execs are on my side. They probably, you know, buttering them up, telling them all good things about itself. Like, you're great, you're amazing, it's your show, We're just going to replace her, forget about it. Like, exactly. Like, they're just going to, like, don't worry about it. And so, you know, he got all these people in his face and all these other things. It's just like, but that's how they do it, though. They divide and conquer pretty much. And before we know it, we beefing with each other and they making money, and it's like, all right, on to the next one.
And I remember before really understanding the dynamic of what was going on, because I was just researching back and forth, I remember kind of going at her a little bit because they were the rumors that like she was asking for more money than everybody else or something. And of course, your first instinct when you hear that is like, who you think you is?
That's
like,
entitled shit.
Because again, you are expandable out of everybody on the show. Like, you know, Carlton and Uncle Phil, like, you know, like, I don't think you could have just easily replaced them.
Yeah, they're
pretty you were an expendable person. Yeah. So at the time, I was thinking, like, you know, how you asking for more money or asking to be, like, the highest paid? But then she explained her side of, like, no, they offered me a trash deal. Yeah. And then, basically, I declined this. But then y'all put out she said you put out a narrative that I was fired.
Right.
And you know, he admitted to that as well.
And we gotta be careful with things like that because it's like you could make like a joke about something like, why was having Janie's like, she wasn't getting enough money, so
right, and then the next person and the next person,
that becomes what it is,
especially before social media, because everything was word of mouth, like literally.
There's so much nuance to it, so it's like we gotta really, especially because as Black people, we don't have as much wiggle room as like white people to be certain ways. Like the moment that we call a Black woman difficult,
that's it.
The moment that you call a Black man like aggressive or something that, that's it. Yeah, it's like, nigga,
and they do that intentionally. They know exactly what
they're like, he's a thug. It's like,
I'm about to say, it's all about the language. He's a thug. Like they paint the narrative.
And they know what like little key trigger words to use to just essentially like write you off and marginalize. They try to do it with Dave Chappelle, like calling him crazy. Like they do it with everybody, and it's like, nah, I just recognize and don't go for it.
And I can speak from experience of working in the industry and working with a bunch of different entertainment shows. Like you'll see like probably 10 different shows, 10 different channels, and it'll be the same exact producer putting the same exact core of people on all of those shows. Mm-hmm. So that's what they mean when they say blackballed, and people be thinking they just making it up. Like, well, yeah, that's why they're blackballed, because all it takes is one piss off the wrong person,
right?
And not only those 10 shows, but they might, be like the godfather of this other person that got another 20 shows. You know what I mean? And
we can go deep into it.
Right. Oh yeah.
We can go deep into it. We're gonna keep it cheap right there. But
and another crazy fun fact that I didn't know was that the light skinned Aunt Viv, she said she never met Janet before.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I thought that was
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Like, because y'all been in together.
I mean, but at the same time, it's like, as Janet, I would have absolutely no interest seeing the person who replaced me after they just fucked me over, blackballed me, ruined my name,
even though she was an innocent one.
But all this shit, still, it's like I have no interest. Whether you have nothing to do with it, but I have absolutely no interest. No,
I'm going
no smoke towards you, but I have no interest to get to know you, to meet you, to want to see you. I don't want to see you replace me. Y'all got me fucked up. Y'all have my kids fucked up. Y'all got my family fucked up.
Right.
And I'm good. Like, have fun with that.
We do have to do a better job of protecting each other, because I can easily see how, like, because Janet got ostracized and then the new Aunt Viv was coming in, she's like, I don't want to associate myself with a woman that's considered difficult or anything. That it's like there's no upside in it for me to build that relationship
at that point.
Right. So we do have to do a better job of like. So shout out DC Fly for not taking that job. At Wild 'N Out, because we need more. We need more of that, which is like lock on, stand strong. It's like we're the talent. Y'all need us. Stop
that just be greed though, because he's probably as hot as he's ever been. This nigga's on literally everything. He's making millions already, so that would just be straight greed for you to and with the price of loyalty on it.
Right.
You know what
I mean? I get what you're saying, but sometimes like they just be greedy as hell. Yeah. It's like you already making it.
I seen somebody make a meme or like a joke, and it was like Kevin Hart would have took that job.
Yeah, he would have.